What do people really think about Disney World's worst rides? Internet reviews can be a little rough, but also pretty to the point and sometimes hilarious. We're taking a look at how TripAdvisor ranks Disney World's rides, starting at the bottom of the barrel. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Disney World's theme parks all rank in the top 10 things to do in Orlando. Flight of Passage, the top ride in Animal Kingdom, even makes it into that top 10. But there are some rides that are fighting to clear the top 200. All the rides in Disney World are far from the very bottom of the list of things to do in Orlando, according to TripAdvisor, but some of them are still pretty far down in the rankings, and that's what we're taking a look at today. Alright, let's talk about Journey into Imagination with Figment. This Epcot ride is a park icon with a serious cult following, but it's definitely not beloved by all. It's ranked all the way at 263 of 428 things to do in Orlando. One TripAdvisor reviewer said this was one of the biggest disappointments I've ever felt at Disney World, while another said it could have used some imagination. Get it? This isn't the first iteration of the ride, and a lot of people believe that the original had a bit more imagination. The original attraction, which ran until 1998, had a character named Dreamfinder, an eccentric inventor, and his sidekick Figment, that purple dragon you're going to see all over Epcot. There were awesome animatronics, impressive effects, and the coolest rainbow tunnel when you exited the ride. 80s kids are with me on that. In 1999, the ride reopened and was completely different though. It was shorter with a different storyline and no more Dreamfinder. He was replaced by Eric Idle and just a quick glimpse of Figment. People got mad and Figment was added back in, but this version doesn't have the same appeal as the original, which led one reviewer to say needs a refresh badly. The Q&A section on TripAdvisor for this ride is filled with only questions about Figment. Who is he? Where did he come from? Well, he came from the ride in imagination. He's a figment of imagination, get it? But Epcot sure does slap him on a lot of merchandise, which is probably very confusing for people who have never been on the ride. And, Eric Idle. A few reviewers mentioned wasting a FastPass on this ride. Now, FastPass isn't running right now, but when it comes back, this isn't a ride we're putting at the top of our list for grabbing a FastPass. There are other rides you'll want to prioritize, and Journey into Imagination with Figment doesn't usually have long lines or any lines at all. One of the better reviews boldly states, "This is just a fun ride that I believe is going away." There are no plans for this ride to go away anytime soon, but with all the negative reviews, that might be a little unexpected. Still, this is an Epcot classic, even if it is a bit different now, and for those of us who are 80s Epcot kids, we still love this ride, even if it's not the same. Okay, let's talk Tomorrowland Speedway. This is at 171 of 428 things to do in Orlando, according to TripAdvisor. And of course, the Tomorrowland Speedway is in Tomorrowland in Magic Kingdom. This is your classic go-kart style attraction with diesel-powered cars that kids 32 inches tall and up can drive, though you need to be 54 inches tall to ride alone. It's not winning any top thrill ride awards, but what's so bad about go-karts? Well, as one person on TripAdvisor states, extremely slow cars, boring track, unimpressive ride, nostalgia's keeping it there, but it's time for Disney to utilize the space more efficiently. One reviewer is not giving up on voicing their opinion. "I hate this ride. I review it every time, hoping Disney will eventually pick up on it." And they have reviewed multiple times, asking Disney to work something out with Tesla and make it worthy of Tomorrowland, which was a pretty common theme among reviews. It's Tomorrowland for crying out loud, not Yesterdayville. A lot of people were questioning why these loud, kinda outdated, smelly diesel cars are still taking up valuable real estate in Tomorrowland, and we've wondered that too. Tomorrowland is supposed to represent the world of the future, and gas-powered cars seem like something from the past. Several reviews mention that kiddos who love cars are going to enjoy this ride, which is totally true, especially for my kid. He loved this. Was his favorite ride for years. And anyone too young to drive a real car will probably have a lot of fun on the Tomorrowland Speedway. Everyone else might just get a headache. All right, now we're headed over to Animal Kingdom for number 167, 428 things to do in Orlando, and the third worst ride in Disney World, according to TripAdvisor, the Aerial Carousel Triceratops Spin. Now, a lot of the reviews talked about Dino Land overall and the lame theming, quote unquote, in this land, and on Triceratops Spin, like this reviewer who said, "Overall, Dinoland USA is a very cheap land and has very poorly made attractions with little or no theming." Well, I gotta disagree with this one, internet people. Dinoland is a genius theme. It's just very underappreciated. Dinoland used to be a small town before the Dino Institute opened, and that made the town a hotspot for tourists, so locals Chester and Hester turned their gas station into a souvenir shop and their parking lot into an amusement park. That's why it looks like a small town fair with carnival games. It's supposed to be. There are a lot of cute nods to this backstory all around the land, the parking spaces fading into the ground, the Route 66 signs, and Chester and Hester's photo in the souvenir shop. So look around next time, take it all in before you knock it as a boring theme. And compared to the other rides on this list, people actually had good things to say about this one, even though they did rip on the theming and compare it to Dumbo. Yeah, this is basically Dumbo with dinosaurs. One reviewer said, good for toddlers, but otherwise only worth riding to tick off your list. But as another person noted, there's always a short queue and all in the shade. At least you won't have to wait long to tick this ride off your list. All right, we're back in Magic Kingdom for the next couple of rides on this list. Magic Kingdom actually has 7 of the 10 rides that made it here. Luckily, that park has more rides than the other Disney World parks to help make up for it. At number 162 of 428 things to do in Orlando is Astro Orbiter, if you can believe it. Also in Tomorrowland, and also a spinny ride that lets you go up and down. But this one is way higher off the ground than Disney's other spinny rides. One person writes Astro Orbiter off immediately. How many rides do you need to go on that only go in circles? Well, like I said, this one is way higher up, and that gives it a bit of an edge. Get great views of Magic Kingdom. This is pretty much the highest point you can get to in the park. One reviewer said, though, you're spinning too fast to enjoy the view. Another reviewer commented on the wait times for this one. The lines can take a long time, which is mostly due to the need to use an elevator to reach the ride. This is especially true with social distancing right now. It may take some time to get through the line and actually on the ride, as only one party can take the elevator at a time, and that really slows things up. This also isn't the most comfortable ride, and a lot of the reviews mention that. One person said Disney should have made the rockets bigger, or a person should just go alone in one. You can always request to ride alone, even if you're in a party of 2. 2 adults can fit, but it's not always the most comfortable. Astro Orbiter might not be for everyone, but we still love the views from this ride, and if you time it with the fireworks when they come back, it's awesome. Now we're headed to the back of the park and into Storybook Circus for the Barnstormer, a kiddie coaster that ranks as number 144 of 428 things to do in Orlando. People on TripAdvisor are mad about how short this ride is. It's not even a minute long, and the lines are crazy long for this. The biggest problem is the length of the ride, extremely short. The Barnstormer clocks in at exactly 1 minute in length, making it one of the shortest rides in Disney World. This is another one we'd suggest skipping getting a Fast Pass for when the program comes back. One person said, we wasted a Fast Pass on this 60-second ride that barely provided any thrills. Lines can definitely get longer for this ride, but they should get shorter throughout the day, so keep an eye on the wait times in your My Disney Experience app and hop in line when they get to 20 minutes or less. Or if you've ridden everything else you want to, grab a Fast Pass later in the day to skip the line then. But don't use one of your initial Fast Pass choices for this one. There are much better rides in the park. Now, a lot of people mention this is a good first coaster and that some 5 and 6-year-olds were bored by it. Know your kid and know what kind of thrills they're ready for. This one was perfect for my little guy when he was 3 and 4. So for some kids, this might push their limits, while others are ready for Space Mountain. All right, coming in at number 6 on our list and number 135 of 428 things to do in Orlando on TripAdvisor is the Liberty Square Riverboat. This steamboat cruises the waters around Tom Sawyer Island in Magic Kingdom. And while it's definitely no one's favorite ride in Disney World, people didn't really have too many bad things to say about it, though there weren't many good things to be said either. Reviewers on TripAdvisor said it's pleasant enough, but nothing exciting, and not sure it's a must-do, but it's a chance to relax. This sounds like high praise next to some other ride reviews. There are no thrills here. It's a boat that sails around for 20 minutes and you see some scenes around the waterway and get some great views of Big Thunder Mountain Railroad and Haunted Mansion. One reviewer brought up a pretty big drawback though. My problem was that I thought there was seating and there was not. There are a few bench seats and a room on the second floor with seating, but otherwise this is mostly standing room only. So grab a seat as soon as you get on if you're looking to rest your feet. Another person mentions that they tried to ride and the riverboat was closed for the day. So check those times. They'll be posted out front so you don't miss your chance to ride. All right, I bet you guys expected this one to be on the list. People have a lot of very strong feelings about Mission Space. Mission Space and Epcot had more reviews than any other ride on this list and lands at number 125 of 428. There are two sides of this ride that simulates space flight, the more intense orange side and the less intense green side. But if you ask TripAdvisor, they're both a little intense. One review said, "Don't do this ride if you don't like confined spaces." And that was one of the nice ones. People also said absolutely horrific, and if you want to feel a near-to-death experience, jump on. One was even, quote, "surprised this isn't in a Saw movie." Okay, so the reviews make this ride sound like literal torture, but a lot of people do love it. The orange side got more negative reviews, but that side does simulate a rocket launch with some serious G-forces and spinning action, and there were a lot of warnings that clue you in that it may be intense. I read all the warning signs handed out and posted, but thought to myself, this is Disney, how bad can it be? Well, it can be pretty bad for some, even if you don't normally get motion sick on rides. Test things out with some other spinning attractions before you brave this one, and if you do start feeling sick, do not close your eyes. It'll make it worse. Instead, focus on that little screen in front of you. Even though it's just a screen, it'll help you to balance your equilibrium. All right, we're back in Magic Kingdom for another high-flying spinning ride. At number 105 of 428 is the Magic Carpets of Aladdin, which is once again compared to Dumbo in many reviews. Dumbo is the only aerial carousel at Disney World that does not make this list. People seem to approve of the OG, but not the alternative versions. One reviewer said, "The wait certainly isn't worth it to me, but the kids all love this ride, especially the camel that spits water at you." Yep, kids will like this one. It's simple, and yeah, you might get spit on by a camel during the ride, but even if you don't want to ride, there's another camel facing guests who are walking past. Watch out for the puddle on the ground if you don't want to get wet, and in fact, that is your rule of thumb at Disney World. If there's a puddle on the ground, walk around it, because it either means you're gonna get wet or you're gonna step in something you don't want to step in. Even though many people said kids love this one, another reviewer said there are far better rides at Disney, even for the smaller age group. Magic Kingdom does have a lot of rides with no height requirement, and many of them are more exciting than the Magic Carpets of Aladdin, like Jungle Cruise, Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, all free from height requirements. This probably isn't a ride we'd have at the top of our list, but if you love Aladdin or there's not a long line, there's no reason not to ride this one. Though as one reviewer said, the best part is they serve Dole Whip next door. This ride is right next to Aloha Isle, so you can grab a Dole Whip right after. All right, we're headed across the park to Mad Tea Party next. Now, I'm a little surprised that Mad Tea Party ranks so low for people on TripAdvisor. It's number 101 of 428 things to do in Orlando, but in the worst 10 rides in Disney World on the site. This is another one that does offer Fast Pass, but you probably won't need it. One reviewer said this ride is not worth a long queue or a Fast Pass, and we'd have to agree. Wait for lines to calm down a bit, save your Fast Pass for something more in demand, or get a Fast Pass later in the day after you've used your initial 3. But most reviews had an issue with motion sickness. Round and round and round the kids took me, and boy did I regret this ride, they say. I apparently have reached a new era in life, for the teacups have my number now, said another. You do control the spinning of the teacup yourself, and you can skip spinning it to reduce motion sickness a bit, but the whole floor will still rotate. If you're prone to motion sickness, offer to take photos instead. This is such an iconic ride, you're gonna want photos of your kids on it. But I do agree with that second reviewer there. You eventually hit a point in life where the teacups are no longer for you. All right, and the last one we're gonna talk about today is a ride that has officially closed, but people on TripAdvisor seriously hated this one, resulting in a ranking of number 387 of 428 things to do in Orlando. One reviewer is so glad that Stitch finally escaped, while others claimed this is the worst part of Disney. That's right, we're talking about Stitch's Great Escape. This one was actually a show experience, and it took place in a round theater in Magic Kingdom where they would plunge the audience into darkness, and Stitch would run around, jump on your shoulders, and burp on you. On the Q&A, someone asked how bad did the chili dog smell, though they have not yet received a response. Another TripAdvisor reviewer said, we actually walked out wondering if it had malfunctioned and we were missing something major, but later found out that this was actually how the ride was intended to be. Lots of people mentioned it was terrifying for kids and adults, and that they missed the alien attraction that it replaced. Disney took note of how many people disliked this one. It has officially been closed, and it's been removed from park maps. Do you think any of the other rides on this list might reach a similar fate? Now, what do you think? Are these the worst rides in Disney World, or do the people on TripAdvisor have no idea what they're talking about? Let us know in the comments if you agree or if you are totally against some of these choices. I think we can all agree on one thing though, that chili dog did smell terrible. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think it was really fun, and it's fun to talk about some of these rides that people really don't enjoy, but that doesn't mean that you can't. We want to hear from you. As always, this is AJ from Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.